Welcome to the Sequoya Show with serial entrepreneur and your host, me, Sequoya Moe-Willis. I bring to you guests who discover key habits and success tips that they are sharing from their personal stories. This episode is titled Resilience in Your Healing, and it is with my special guest, Alize Harding, the CEO and founder of Rooted Freedom. Alize Harding is an herbalist from New York City who's been navigating the South for the last couple of years. Rooted Freedom is what she crafted to share the love, power, and knowledge passed down from one generation to the next. Like trees and plants, our roots are what grounds us. They connect us to all things. There is freedom in this connection. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Alize Harding. Well, thank you, Allie, for being here. Now, I know, Alize is your first name, but y'all, I'm going to be calling her Allie for the rest of this interview. Yes. You see her name on the screen. Don't try to correct me, but no. Thank you so much for being here and for being willing to be transparent and open and to be able to share advice and some inspiration and motivation to the audience so that they can be able to move forward in their healing, because this episode is about resilience and healing. And I felt like you would be the perfect person to be able to help me talk about this topic through your journey.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be back on the Sequoya Show.
A lot of people have to heal from different things. They have to heal from past trauma, childhood trauma, recent trauma, injuries, just different things. And then the way they heal or the way they choose, the path that they choose to go about their healing is based upon what somebody might have told them, what they have learned growing up. And some people might have said, nothing's wrong with you. And I know that I'm making this kind of broad, but even like, you don't need to seek help. You don't need to talk to nobody about it. You don't need to stop eating that. You don't, just a bunch of different things. Oh, you acting like a woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. You meditating, like, just different things. Yeah. So what I want to start with is I want to bring people current up to your journey of when you started your process and everything, or processes, or because you might still be learning, right? Of going on your healing journey. Can you just start with talking about maybe a little bit about your upbringing? And I mean, you can highlight areas that kind of make you have brought you upon this journey of healing. I don't know. I just want you to go ahead and talk and just give us an idea of where this all got started, how you got started.
Absolutely. I will say this, that my grandmother actually equipped me with the tools and the knowledge that I needed to jumpstart my healing journey as an adult. And I didn't realize it until I was an adult that I have everything I need. I know about, it's like I knew about meditation. I knew about prayer. I knew about journaling and the importance of releasing. I knew all of these things from a young age, but I didn't realize how she was equipping me, until I got older and I needed it. So it's almost as if she saw what I needed as a child. I'm talking about down at, 7 and 6 years old. She had me having quiet moments with myself just to journal and meditate and release. And I would have to, like, this is a part of what I had to do if I was at her house daily. So she equipped me with certain things that I still do today and hold on to today. And I didn't realize how important they would be in my healing journey until I got older, but I will say what kind of triggered and started my healing journey is a couple of years back, I actually left New York, which I grew up in New York. I was in New York my whole life. That's all I've ever known. And, I had seen my mom leave New York first. And when I went to visit, she wasn't in the best space. And I had just been starting school. You know, I was going to college. I had my life together in New York. I was young, but it was together, you know? So I wasn't thinking about moving out south. I'm like, I've never had the desire. I've never been to South Carolina. I don't know why you're even moving to South Carolina, you know? And
for New Yorkers, we're like, South Carolina.
yeah, we think like the worst. And I looked it up on the map. I remember I was 19 years old. I Googled the city of Anderson in South Carolina. It's like this small, Coy. I kid you not. I said, I'm not moving there.
Like, no, not me.
Not me. But when I went to visit her, I felt that she needed me. You know, I felt that she needed me, and I made the decision to leave with just a suitcase, like one suitcase. You know, everything else, I had my friends come to my house and pick out whatever they wanted from my closets and my house, and I left New York, and it was a downward spiral at first. I was very young, and you know, my mom, though she needed the help, wasn't ready for the help, you know. And I was left homeless. I was left in a place where, you know, I was living in churches, and I was actually, when I first moved to South Carolina, I was in such a good place, and I was volunteering and working at different shelters and women's shelters, because it's always been in me to give back and to work with people and to help heal people and, you know, things of that nature. So it's crazy and also funny how God works in that way, because the place that I was working actually provided me shelter when I became homeless.
Wow.
I didn't even qualify for the program, because you have to be a child or a mother. You have to be under, or you have to be a mom. And I was over 18 and I wasn't a mom, you know? Because of what I brought to the program and just who I became to be, they let me stay there and they put me in the program. And that is what jump started. I can't say that's what jump started my healing journey, but the sadness that I felt with my situation and the anxiety that I was starting to feel, I had to move every single morning. So even though I was in this program, how this program is structured is every morning at 5 a.m., you have to get up, get all of your things, and move to a different church, whichever church will accept you for that night. So I was always anxious. I was always feeling like, well, what if I don't have a church to go to? Or what if, you know, my stuff gets taken? Or what if this church is not as nice as the other? It was just a feeling of sadness and anxiety, you know? And that is what caused me to really take a look at how I got to that place, you know, how I got to that place. And a big thing I needed to address with self is putting others before my well-being.
What did that look like for you? So you said, like, even when it comes down to journaling, when it comes down to certain things, like right now we know what journaling looks like, but then it wasn't called that. We weren't doing it. What did that look like? Those things, like, can you give us an example or a situation of when your grandmother kind of put that into you?
Yeah, I will say this, and this is what I tell other people on their journey to meditation and quieting their mind. It doesn't have to look like mine. You know, it doesn't have to look like, you know, the Buddha statue sitting like this in crisscross applesauce, you know?
Yes.
Everything that we know of meditating, of, you know, spirituality, of healing, make it your own, you know? And what she did was, especially as far as meditation, she showed me that there's not one way to meditate. She showed me I can meditate by sitting down with, you know, a coloring book and just coloring and coloring and coloring until your mind is quiet, you know? Just block out all distractions, cut off the TV, cut off
So
the
now she didn't say that though, right? She didn't say, hey, I'm gonna show you a different form of meditating. This is what you're gonna do. Like, what did that look like?
This is the way that she meditated. She would sit in the bathroom for hours and just be quiet. It didn't matter if the lights were on or off. She wouldn't respond to anything. She wouldn't even hear the doorbell ring. That's how still that she was able to quiet her mind. And
Got
I would
you.
sit there with her, and it would make me antsy. And how are you so still? And it didn't bother her. Once she was done with her meditating, she'd be like, how are you? How was yours? And I'd be like, I've been up and down, in and out, you know. And she's like, okay, well, let's try this. Let's sit down with coloring books tomorrow and let's see.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Or
it's a
let's
form of sit still. You don't have to always move.
exactly.
You can be
It's
still.
stillness. That's
Mm,
all it is. You have to find something that can calm your mind. That's all meditation is. You don't have to
I love it.
certain place. You don't have to be in a certain, you know, for some people it's walking, but how it looked like, you know, for me and her, I would just tell her like, you know, grandma, I couldn't sit still for more than like 5 minutes. My brain is going off, you know, I'm trying to pray and then I'm singing a
Right.
song and I'm, you know, like my brain
Right.
all over the place. I couldn't
Yeah.
understand how you can make your mind quiet. There was no way.
Mhm.
It felt impossible to me. So it was like every day was something different she had me doing with her. And, you know, when it was done, she'd be like, well, that's meditation. She would tell me that is
Mm.
meditation. Like, yeah, we just,
It's so
you know,
dope.
sat down and we took this canvas and we started painting and we've been painting for hours and you didn't think about anything else. You didn't think about school. You didn't think about getting in trouble with your mom. Your brain was quiet.
That
All
was
you
dope.
focused on was the colors on the canvas, you know? And I heard her, but I didn't hear her. You know, I was just like, that's not meditating. Because if somebody rang the doorbell, I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna pop back right up.
Did you understand? When did you begin to understand what she was trying to say as far as like because did she break it down and explain why you had to quiet your mind sometimes? It
Nope.
was just the habit of it. She was just
Yep.
giving you the action and letting you do the action.
Exactly. She never explained why, but she always stressed the importance of it. But she never
Wow.
why. And the crazy thing is, I didn't realize why until
Mm,
I was older and homeless and not able to calm my brain. And I was like, let me go get some coloring books and let me go get some blank canvases.
mm,
And I started
mm.
sitting and doing the things that I used to do with her so that I could feel closer to her. And I realized it was healing me,
I love it.
it was
So,
helping me.
so, and we're gonna go back to that too. I gotta go back to the other part now. So you're like, what do I need to do? I'm bouncing back and forth. And then you said something. What did you say? The first thing you had to learn was what? About other people's.
Oh, yes. So what I said was, you know, the first thing, I'm not gonna say one of the first things, but the first thing that I had to learn is to stop, or not even to stop. The first thing I had to recognize about myself was that I was always putting other people before me.
Mm,
Always. And I
mm,
didn't know how to stop. So I can't say the first thing I learned was to stop because I didn't know how to stop.
but you recognized it.
I recognized that I was doing it. I recognized that I didn't know how to say no. I did not know. No was not a thing to me. It didn't matter if I didn't want to do it. It didn't
Yeah.
matter if it was going to cause consequences or hurt me or disgust me or, you know, it's a self-worth issue when you can't say no. But no
Yeah.
one told me that it was okay to say
Ooh, wait a minute now. It's a self-worth issue. What do you mean?
it is. And the reason why I say that, and I'm not, when I say it's a self-worth issue, because self-worth I feel like isn't something that we discuss enough when we talk about healing, you know?
Mhm.
But for me, that's top priority in your healing journey is figuring out what, one, seeing yourself and seeing who you are to other people, you know? Because a lot of the times we don't realize how important, how influential, you know, and how much we really are to the people who are surrounding us.
Mm.
You know, and that's why I say self-worth to me is number one, honestly, when it
What
comes.
is self-worth? What is that for people who don't know what that really is?
So self-worth is looking at yourself almost in the eyes of others, because the funny thing is we, I think by design, we're supposed to think highly of ourselves. We're supposed to think almost higher of
Mm.
ourselves than other people do. However, that's not always the case. And it wasn't the case for me. I definitely did not find myself worthy or see myself in the way that other people saw me. And a lot of that stems from trauma and experiences that I had gone through, and being molested, and just feeling left. I didn't have my dad around, I didn't have my mom around, so I felt like, well, what do I really have? What makes up me?
It comes through trauma, and sometimes it doesn't even have to start with like us. Sometimes
Right.
that trauma happens before we were born, before our parents were born, our lineage, our culture.
Mm-hmm.
We're not really always taught that we're worth anything, right?
Right.
We're like the bottom, we're inferior. And we're supposed to get the last, the scraps, make
Yes.
something of everything. Technically, we're created to believe, to think and know
Right.
that we are worthy. Like
Yes.
we are greatness. We
Exactly.
are kings, queens, we are the royalty.
Right.
But then something happens where we lose that sense of worth. And the only way we can define it is by other people needing us, or
Yeah.
other people thinking we're capable of being able to produce or help them with something, whether they're using us and going to discard us or not, or
Mm-hmm.
whether they're going to keep us in their lives, or we create an attachment to them.
Right.
That's the only way we kind of see it. Is that
Yes.
what you're saying?
It is. It is. It's like sometimes we find ourselves only thinking that we're worth what we do physically,
Mm,
do in the physical realm for people, or at work, or at school, whatever it is. We take that and we bunch it up and we say, okay, well, this is who I am. And
mm.
the things that we do aren't always who we are. Those are roles that we play. You know what I mean? But that
Woo!
is not your self worth. That's a role that you play. You may play it well,
Yeah.
you may do it well, and you can say that these qualities that I have make me good at this thing, or these qualities that I have make me a good wife, or a good husband, a good father, mother, whatever. But that is not your self worth. You
That's
know?
right. Yeah. And
But
that affects confidence too. And
yes,
and it's not to say we're supposed to be perfect,
right.
because we're still human, and we will have those circumstances or situations, especially depending on the atmosphere and the environment in which we are in, mentally and
Yes,
physically, emotionally,
yes,
where we might doubt ourselves, where we are going to feel like less than. It might be something new, and we might be like, well, I'm not a master at this because I've never done it before. So
yes,
we might doubt ourselves in certain things. But when you begin to know your worth eventually, or you're around certain people or circumstances or environments, eventually you start to say, I need to stop doubting myself because I'm the shit.
exactly. Because you, at the end of the day, you started it, so you're capable. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And no,
Yeah.
you may not be the best, but I feel like if I practice and I'm here, I was given the opportunity to be here. That it's a reason. Like,
Yes.
to know that you are here, so you are worthy. You're here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're here. You're listening. You're connecting. You know, then
Yes.
your self-worth is really that. And if you are given certain opportunities, like, it's funny that you said doubting yourself and spoke on self-doubt, because I had started experiencing that with the position that I'm in now at work, because it doesn't
Mm.
look like anything I've ever had. I've
Yeah.
never been in a position of authority in this way. I've never had boardrooms of people looking at me saying, you speak and we want to hear you and we want to listen to you, and we're taking
Right.
and I'm like, well, my last job didn't do that, so no, I don't want to
My
speak.
parents didn't do that.
Exactly. If my
Yeah.
parents did that, my teachers didn't do that. If you don't
Yeah.
have people doing that and now you're in this position, I was shocked, I think, for like the first week, and I had to let that go, because listen, you are here. You're here for a reason, and you're
Yeah.
worthy of this. So do exactly what you can do. They want you. You know what I mean? They
So
want you.
the healing in that, right? So the first thing we're touching on is knowing your worth, like self-worth.
Yes.
And not overextending all of the time to others, even when it's going to drain you and
Yes.
maybe put you in a bad place or situation where you can even end up homeless, right?
Yes.
And because you want to help somebody who's not ready to be helped, but they
Exactly.
still welcome you down, but they don't even know what's going on with themselves. But
Right.
at the same time, you also encounter other situations and stuff where other people see you're worthy, other people know that you can do this, and but you're sitting down yourself because you never had it before, you never did this before.
Exactly.
It's like and my mom says it perfectly. When people don't know your worth, abuse is inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing goes for us, right? When we don't know what we're worth,
Yes.
we allow abuse, or we
Yes.
abuse ourselves, or we sabotage ourselves.
Absolutely. Which is a
How did how
abuse.
did you and you said you're still learning. At that time you didn't know how to, you knew, you recognized that you had to stop doing something. At what point, or are you still learning, how can someone get to understanding how much they're worth besides listening to what we just said?
Right, right. So for me, and this is something that I try not to do any longer now that I'm getting older, but for me, I had to learn really, really, really hard lessons. So it didn't, you would think that me being homeless, would kind of trigger me to immediately be like, okay, I need to do differently. And though it triggered the thought that this isn't right and this isn't what you wanted for yourself, but you're here because of your want to help someone else, that was all it was. It was just a thought. And it took me falling on my behind. I'm talking about for the last 4 to 5 years before I was like, okay, how do I change this? I mean, I'm talking about, I have been in positions of losing everything. I've lost everything at least 4 times, and I'm talking about everything down to all I have is my clothes and a couple of
Yeah.
dollars in my account. But it took me having to go through that so many times before I put the pieces together, and I really had to take a step back and look at my own life and say, like, okay, well, I did this with my mom. I basically took all of the situations that had put me in a negative space or in a certain space, a space where I was stranded.
For
And
this
I,
similar space, you're stranded in physically, mentally, emotionally. Who's coming to save me?
right. And the thing is, I didn't realize that there were so many similarities because the people who I was, the people who I put before me weren't playing the same roles, So like,
Mm.
well, these, so I never looked at it. I shrugged it off. I was like, well, this has no relation to me being homeless, coming out here from my mom. And this has no relation to me being homeless, getting out the situation with my ex. But what I did was I started sitting down and writing about myself. Writing is what really triggered it because for me, I have to see things on paper sometimes. It's something about paper
Me too.
that is very real for me. And even when it comes to prayer and manifestation, I put things on paper. Not,
Right.
notepad is good, computer is good, in your brain is good. But for me, seeing it is real. It makes it real, you know?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
started writing about myself, and all of the situations were similar. I'm like, yo, I got here because of this. And then I was
Mm.
in a relationship and I felt like, oh, well, it's my duty to heal this person. But that doesn't mean I have to be with them. But I did it anyway because it's the only way that, they were going to be receptive of that or, accepting of that healing. So I
Mhm.
noticed that I had done it back to back for the last 4 or 5 years of my life. And then when I was praying and asking for a change. I was like, since I moved to the South, is what I said. I was like, since I've moved here, I have been in a constant cycle of loss. Every time
Mm.
I'm, I'm talking about way down. I'm shot down. I'm not even like I'm struggling. I'm
And it was always because
I was putting someone else before me. but I didn't see anything wrong with it. I felt like that was my purpose. And that's
and and because I relate to you so much, because, and I don't know if it's the same for you, but we feel like it's our purpose, but also we're so used to, I don't know if I want to say society, systems, people making it seem like putting yourself first makes you selfish, and being
yes,
selfish is a bad thing.
yes,
And then the whole purpose thing, right? Or I'm supposed to help people, right? It doesn't mean that we're supposed to help them and see them all the way through. Sometimes we're supposed to plant the seed. Sometimes we come and water another seed that was planted by somebody else. But
exactly.
we play God.
Exactly. That's what I was doing. I was like, take this person entirely under my wing into my home. I mean, to the point where I was taking out loans for people, letting people jack up my
And we
credit.
don't even got our own self together
Wasn't
completely.
even together. Why am I doing it? Literally drowning myself because I
Yeah.
felt like, this is what I'm supposed to do. But really it stems from not being taught boundaries as a kid.
Relief to You is one of our sponsors this season on the Sequoya Show. You can find out more about Relief to You by visiting their website, relief2you.com. Thank you, Relief to You, for sending these gifts for my interviewees and guests of the show. Relief to You is a natural brand that focuses on benefits instead of the prettiness, color, or smell of a product. It's about relieving the feeling you get from uncomfortable problems such as eczema, irritated scalp, dry skin, or painful conditions. We believe solving a problem in the natural world is how we stop bad side effects in the chemical world, says Relief to You. They sell the benefits. Try Relief to You today at relief2you.com. You can also get specialized or personalized gifts for goodie bags to give to your friends or just to put in your purse. Enjoy a 10% discount off of your order by using code NEWLIFE and visiting relief2you.com. You can also follow Relief to You on Facebook by going to Relief to You, or on Instagram at Relief to You. Now back to the show.
Boundaries as Black women and men aren't really spoken or taught to us. Our parents don't have it, because again, like we spoke on, feeling like we can't be selfish. We just have to be accepting of whatever is thrown at us, given to us, and we just have to take it and be strong. It
We
stems
have to be
from
selfless.
exactly.
LESS.
Selfless all the time, and it stems from so far back that it's like it takes generations of healings to get past that because of where we came from as a people, honestly.
And you're being, and so this whole cliche about being strong, right? Like,
Yes,
we got to be strong. Sometimes you're going to go without. Well, who the hell who the hell said,
yes, and we
can I
have
be strong and
how
tell
where
you
that
no?
came from. We have to think about where that came from as a people. Like,
Yes.
we have to look at the greater picture. We are used to systematically taking just whatever's given to us. So then our parents put that on us. So we just feel like, well, whatever situation I'm with, I want people to feel like, or to not feel like you're ungrateful because you aren't just taking everything that's thrown at you.
That's
That's
right.
not being ungrateful.
Or that you gotta service people when you have nothing to give even
Exactly.
yourself.
You have nothing, which is why I say self-worth and looking at yourself first is always going to be number one. Because
Yeah.
before you give a helping hand, you really do need to look at yourself and be like,
Yeah.
in what way can I help this person? Because it may not be in the way you think or the way that
Yeah.
you're used to, or
Yeah.
this way where you are completely stripping yourself emotionally and spiritually and physically sometimes of everything you have.
That's
But
right.
to end off, what I was saying as far as just what really triggered me to say, okay, this ends here, is I got into a bad car accident. And I was
Mm.
praying for change. I was like, this job is not doing it. This ship, because it wasn't really a relationship, but this mess of a ship that I've created for
Mm.
myself, I don't know how to get out of it. I don't know how to say no to this boss. And I'm tired. I'm not making anything. I'm not
You was
moving.
on the Titanic. There was
Yes,
nobody around.
I was
It was going
thinking
down.
in so many different
And
ways.
you were playing your own violins.
Yes. And I didn't know how to get myself out. I was like, God, you're going to have to take me out of this. And he was like, I'm trying, but you're not listening. So when I tell you I got into that car accident and lost everything,
I'm so sorry.
But it's what I was asking for. I wanted my job to be removed. I wanted my relationship to be
Mm.
removed. I didn't like the situations that I had got myself in, but I didn't see a way out of it. And, there were probably multiple ways I could have gotten out of it. But how I got out of it was God said, "You're not listening. I'm about to rip all of this from you." And
Mm.
I need hard lessons sometimes, but I said that's going to be the last one for some time.
Yeah.
And I got
Yeah.
a really bad accident. I was in the parking lot, parked, looking through my purse, and I looked,
Wow.
a truck driving through Walmart's parking lot straight at me.
No.
I had a second to blink. I had a second to blink before I had blacked out. I had literally, I
Wow.
blacked out because, it was probably a drunk driver. I don't know. It was a hit and run. He hit me. I was the only person in my car. Everybody else's car that got hit, they were in the Walmart at 7 in the morning.
Wow.
Crushed, sandwiched between four cars. He drove into all of us, left. And because of that situation, I lost everything that I had asked God to remove from my life. I didn't want that job anymore. And I physically could not go to that job.
So, all right, before we move on, just to give some nuggets that I got from this, and
Yeah.
that could probably help some people. One, um, you stopped looking at everybody else, and you started saying, why do I keep ending up in these situations? Why do
Yes.
I keep ending up in these situations? I can
Yes.
blame everybody, but everybody's not going to be a me, right? Everybody's not going to be you. And did they even ask?
Right.
Sometimes people don't even ask, and here we go, right?
Yeah.
And
Play
it's
it.
like we're calling it, you could have gave the courtesy
Right.
of, or have some consideration, but at the same time it's like we poked our nose in somebody else's business that didn't even ask, because we want better for people.
Right.
But sometimes people don't want better for themselves, and sometimes people might ask, but they're users, right? But that's neither here nor there, because at the end of the day, it begins and ends with us. That's number one.
Yes.
Number two, you're either going to, because you said, God said, I am trying to help you, but you're not trying to listen, right?
Right.
Because and listening, sometimes people make this a little bit too deep and challenging, right?
Mm.
Sometimes you don't listen because you don't really understand.
Right.
But then there are a majority of times where you don't listen because you're so busy talking, or because you're so
Right.
busy moving, or you're so busy listening to yourself that you don't keep still, like your grandmother said, enough to hear what you're praying for, asking for, or what you shouldn't be doing, whether you pray for it or ask for it. So then what happens is we hit rock bottom.
Exactly. And I'm just going to add to that one more
Go
gem.
ahead.
Sometimes our past doesn't look like what God is throwing at us in that past. So we feel
Mm,
like I see this way out that God is
mm,
presenting me with, but it don't look like what I want. And
mm,
pride and no, I can do this better, which is what I was doing. I was like, I see that, I can move back to New York, in with my
mm.
sister, maybe in with my best friends. New York is home. I could leave
Yeah.
right now. I'm gonna
You
be
wouldn't
good.
be homeless
I
in
would
New
not
York,
be homeless. No,
right?
not be,
And so look at all of the lesses, though.
exactly.
Homeless, selfless.
Yes.
We're hearing so much less.
Yes.
If we do the ish, right? We get this. We see here the selfish, but we got delicious ends in ish, right?
Yep. Yep.
We got some good stuff that ends in ish. I
Yep.
like relish. You might not, but relish is
I
good.
like that.
No, don't take that as like a guru moment, y'all. That was me being. But yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
So now you have this moment, this rock bottom moment, this car accident, or this truck accident.
Mm-hmm.
So now what?
So from there, I was forced to leave my living situation, because now you're in a place where the person you're in this ship with does not care, was not at the hospital, care that
Mm,
you haven't eaten in a week. doesn't that you can't even get from your room to your bathroom. Your car is gone, so you're not about to drive an hour to work. There's no public transportation in the deep south, you know?
No, it's
And
not.
yeah, there's nothing else I could do but to surrender and say, I have to leave. I have to move in with my mom, possibly, or one of my friends, or go back home to New York. Those were my only options at the time, because I need to be around someone who cares enough about me to say this person is healing and I needed help physically. I needed, you know,
Yeah.
I I was injured, you know,
It was that bad, and then the person you helped wasn't even
no,
there.
no, the person I had literally honestly changed their life, you know, and
It was okay for them to be selfish, though.
yes, it was. I sacrificed my home. I opened up my home. I sacrificed my safety in a lot of ways for this person, and it was literally like, I don't care, you know,
Yeah.
I don't care, but
Yeah.
I was forced to accept help. That was the
So acceptance.
yes.
So one, look inside, take
Yes.
some accountability.
Yes, please.
Two is acceptance, and I'm gonna let you elaborate on that. But I think that was very important because a lot of us don't know how to receive, but we are
Yeah,
great givers. We're great givers. We'll give our
exactly.
life to a
Yes.
stranger.
And that's how I was. I was able to give and give and give, even what I didn't have the capacity to give. But I was not able to receive because I felt like, well, that in a way makes me weak. You know, if I felt like if I accept this help, or if I go back home, or if I go back to my mom, like, I'm just like, this is undoing everything that I know about being strong, and everything I knew about taking care of myself, and I felt like my self-worth, to touch back on that, came from helping other people. And now I need help. Well, I'm worthless. That's how I felt about myself, to be honest, because I felt like I shouldn't need this. I've been helping people since I was a teenager. And now I'm in a place where I have no other choice but to accept a lot of help, not even a little bit. I mean, I need help financially. I can't move without somebody else. I need someone else's car. You know, I lost my job. I'm like, I literally need all the help I can get.
You had to put your pride to the
Yes,
side, or the thing that you thought was right. You
yes,
literally had to learn was wrong.
right. Yeah, I had to understand that, you know, my self-worth and my only purpose in life wasn't to give until I was dry, you know, but that
Yeah.
what I give can be reciprocated and received and given back to me. And that's okay. That doesn't make me worthless. That doesn't take away from all these people that I have helped. And that it's just okay. It's okay that I need someone else.
Let me ask you this. In the process of learning that you are worth some stuff, did you also learn, and I feel like somebody people are going to get a lot from this, right? From what you just said, and because even I have to keep checking myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And coming from, like you said, traumatic experiences, we have to check ourselves all the time. So it's not like you're going to end up perfect after this
Mm-mm.
episode. You got to put stuff into practice. Easy,
Right.
it gets easier and easier. But in that process of learning your self-worth, did you also learn that not per se that another person isn't worthy, but a lot of people aren't worth your help?
Yeah.
Or yeah.
A lot of people aren't worth your help, your energy, your time, especially your energy. Let me just say that's number one, because as we spoke about, as empaths, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we don't realize the sacrifices we are taking just being around somebody sometimes. And
Yes.
on top of that, you're going to give them every piece of energy you have, and sometimes don't even have, until you're just sucked dry, you know?
Yeah.
So really, who is worth that? Who is
Yeah.
worth sucking all of your energy dry?
you
Really?
have you have to get to the point where you know that nothing is worth more than you, and
Exactly.
no one is worth more than you. And it's not to say that other people aren't worth it. It
Right.
just means that people are, a lot of people intentions, and sometimes they don't even know themselves. So if we didn't know and had to learn certain things, imagine how many other people come from certain backgrounds, or they don't learn different things. They don't even know how to treat people right. They don't seen their mother, their father, or they were even mistreated so much that they think this is normal, and their intentions could be right, but it
Right.
could still be wrong all at the same time. And you have to be smart enough, not even smart, I hate to say smart enough, because I don't think that it's about being dumb, but you got to learn the signs and the flags of when you have to leave people to complete their journeys or go through certain
Yes.
stages of their own life so that they can be ready for you.
Yes. I'll say that you have to be attentive enough. You know, you
Yes,
be attentive enough to
I like that.
what you're giving and what you're receiving and what's
Yeah,
surrounding you. Pay attention, and
yeah,
you'll see sometimes that, you know, you're, again, that touches back on accountability, but you're doing the same thing in all these different places and allowing people to do it. And
yeah,
it's a lot of time it comes back to, like I said, how you feel about yourself, whether it's
yeah.
you should, or whether it's because you think, well, this is what is fulfilling to me. But
Or
it
if I'm ready for it, am I ready for it?
exactly
Do I even want to deal with that? do
right.
i do, do I deserve, is whether it's a good treatment or bad treatment, right? Do I deserve this treatment, right? Which one would you rather? I would rather deserve the good treatment.
Exactly. But you know, sometimes, and this is why I want people to look at themselves. Sometimes we feel like we're deserving of
Mm,
the short end of the stick, or
that's right.
deserving abusive situations we put ourselves in.
Right.
We feel like we're deserving of it. And once you, and I recommend putting it on paper, but once
Yeah.
you put it all on paper, and I'm talking about all, because as I began writing, more things came to me that I had buried from years and years and years, and they all connected. You know,
Yeah.
I was able to see why I felt really so low about myself, that I was able to
Mm,
continue these cycles,
yeah.
which is why I say you have to look at yourself and where it stemmed from. You know, some things didn't just start 5 years ago, even though you've been going through it for 5 years. It started 15 years ago, but you just
Yeah.
realize that you're still doing the same thing. So, you know, I say all of that to say, like, sometimes it's not your fault, it's what you were taught or what you were around, and just that self-worth wasn't taught to you. The
Yeah.
You weren't really shown to you. No one gave you life. No one gave you love in that way, or spoke affirmations to you, or spoke light into you. So
Yeah.
you feel like, I'm deserving of this, and this is what I've always gotten. So why would I
Yeah.
get anything different?
Yeah. And like you said earlier, sometimes it's better than what you ever had. So you don't
Yeah.
realize that it's even bad.
Oh,
I went through that too,
me
you
too.
know, and parents who are watching this, don't give up. Like, so just because your children don't hear you now, don't mean that they won't hear you later. Like Ali said, like she didn't realize her grandmother was preparing her for certain things now, and maybe her grandmother didn't even realize she was preparing, but I feel like she does, right? This season, the Sequoia Show is sponsored by Linda's Barbecue Sauce. You can find out more about Linda's Barbecue Sauce by visiting lindasbarbecuesauce.com. Linda's Barbecue Sauce is a Black-owned, family-owned business that's been operating since 2014. The company is family-based so much that the brand was named after a strong mother of 5 children. Linda strived to love, support, and take care of her family. The barbecue sauce is the foundation of their family's strength, hardworking ethics, and principles. Linda's Barbecue Sauce comes in 5 different flavors: pineapple jerk, habanero mango, peach, honey, and mandarin orange. Thank you, Linda's Barbecue Sauce, for sending these gifts to my guests and interviewees this season. If you are looking for something to put in goodie bags just for your cookout or to have in your kitchen, contact Linda's Barbecue Sauce at 646-234-6352 or on Instagram by going to Linda's_BBQ_sauce. Now, back to our show. No matter what, keep talking to your kids, talk their ears off,
Yes.
because when they get older, they hear you. They ain't
Yep.
gonna hear you now, but they're
Right.
gonna hear you later.
Yep. And it's
So
true.
it never departs from them.
No, it doesn't. It never ever departs from them. And that goes both ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because not everybody has the best parents and has had the best things spoken to them. So sometimes you do have to go back and think about things that have been said to you that were not positive and that were
Yes,
negative, that you haven't departed from. And that
that's
may be
right.
why
Ooh, you saying a word, girl.
that's why you don't see your self-worth, is because something from someone who was supposed to speak love and life into you spoke negativity into you, and
Yes,
that's all you know. There's a lot of
yes.
people in those situations where the parents were the ones who spoke some things to you that you haven't departed from, so you still see yourself in that light. Well, my mom told me I was never going to be this, or I was always this, so that's all I know. No, write it, write these things down so that way you can see it, or speak it out loud. Even if you need to speak to yourself, record yourself, you need to be able to hear that,
What?
so you
That's
can.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and this is what I don't like, right? I don't like when people try to say you can't dwell in, first of all, I don't operate by astrology all the time,
Mm,
right? But I'm a Pisces. I'm a whole entire Pisces, right?
me too.
You are too, right?
Yes.
So when I feel like I need to get away, I'm in the clouds.
Yes.
And I want to stay there. I'm creating there so that when I come back down, I can actually put together what I'm like. And I go there so I can feel good, right? So a lot of parents, they try, and it saved my life when I was growing up with child abuse.
Mm,
But a lot of parents try to say, you're getting older now. You got to put the childish things away. You got to stop imagining, stop daydreaming. You got to face reality. Like, stop doing that. That's
yes.
number one. That is what's going to not only help your child. That's why we have vision. People are doing vision boards now. We're meditating. We're doing different things because you have to create it. You have to see it first in order for you to go ahead and grasp it. That's number
Yes.
one. Number two, you gotta understand that your kids are paying attention to everything you say, everything you do. And even if you are a person who never had, like Ali said, a parent or anybody to pour good things into you, society, relationships, especially toxic relationships, they want you to think like your feelings don't matter. And
Yes.
even with my children, sometimes I'll be like, I don't want you to think that I don't care about your feelings. I
Right.
apologize. That's not what because I want them to know I care about your feelings. However, you
Uh-oh.
don't want your feelings to cause you to be out of control. You want to be able to control your feelings, but the main thing is that we have feelings for a reason, not for us to ignore it. They are a signal. They are the horn that's saying something is not right.
Okay, you
This you got
did.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Your feelings are there to say something is not right, or this is good. I want more of this. Let's keep doing this. Or this doesn't feel good. I feel miserable. I feel sad. I need there needs to be a change. So you
Right.
can use that as like a signal to say maybe I need to look for something else. Write it down, like Ali says. When I feel like this is what's happening.
Right. You shape your own reality. I look at my
Mm.
life this year and last year, and I have it on paper. I have what I was writing down and where I wanted to be. And I walk in my house every day and I look at my life every day and I'm like, I'm here. I'm looking at a paper that says,
Wow.
March 10th, 2021. And I'm looking at my life and down to the T, I am here. So I feel like imagination is important, because there was no, oh, I know all of the steps to get here and I know exactly how I'm going to get there. But I knew
Yeah.
this is where I needed to be for self. And this is what
Yeah.
I feel like I'm deserving of.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now I look around and I'm like, dang, thank you,
Yeah.
God, because I'm here.
But a lot of people um go through other things when it comes to healing, right? Their body issues,
Hmm.
um physical health, emotional health, mental health, stress, spiritual health.
Hmm.
And healing is a broad category, right? I do believe, and it's just my personal belief, is that oftentimes outside of things that's kind of really out of maybe an outlier, maybe out of the whole circumstance. But oftentimes, a lot of those things kind of connect and relate, and you got to kind of get to the center. What are
Yeah,
your thoughts about that?
I definitely agree. I definitely agree. And I will say that once you begin your healing journeys, because I feel like there's multiple, it's a daily thing, that you will see and have things pop up in all of those different aspects, whether it's
Mm,
physical, your health, or breaking from certain things that you thought, well, I've been doing this forever, this is what I see as healthy, but now you have a whole different outlook on health in that way. Emotional health, as you start healing, you break from certain things and patterns and habits that you had, that you,
mm,
well, this is what I used to do when I was sad. I would have a drink or roll me a blunt or whatever it was.
yeah.
Like, well, dang, I'm now doing this. I'm going to take a walk. I'm whatever it may be. So I
Yeah.
like, yes, they do all tie in. And once you start, just it's gonna keep going. It's gonna keep rolling. But just know that, there are gonna be things that pop up, because I will say, at least for me, that's how it's been. As I started my healing journeys and looking at myself, I started realizing, like, okay, you have to take better care of yourself in
Mm,
all these different ways, mentally, physically. And what you thought was healthy was actually kind of unhealthy,
mm,
um
yeah.
so all of these things you really start looking at, and they're all a part of healing. You don't start here and just kind of leave that on the back burner. It's all going to be worked on at some point, and sometimes you'll even have like a light bulb go off in a certain area, just looking at something else. A light will go off over here and you're like, well, wait a minute, what about this? And I may need to go get that checked out, or I may need to stop taking
Yeah.
or doing that and try this or that. And one other thing I will say is, as you have these conversations with yourself and start surrounding yourself with this energy, more people around you will start looking like you. They'll be in those same spaces,
Mm,
so you'll see what healthy habits that they have for themselves, and like, let me try that. Maybe that'll work for me. Maybe I'm gonna take some flax oil or some castor oil.
yeah.
You have now surrounded yourself with that energy, and that is going to be drawn to you. The same type of people who I thought, this is my purpose, these people keep getting sent to me because I need to heal them. Those type of people are not being sent to me anymore.
Mm. They
The
were a reflection of you at one point.
of me and how I felt about myself. But the people
Yeah.
who are surrounding me now are very similar. And it's not to say that we all have it together. We're all in healing spaces, but that is a part of your purpose. You're dropping gems, you're planting seeds, you're giving insight, and you're also dealing with people who are like, not to say that opportunities to drop gems and heal and things like that aren't presented to me, or people who are just not in the best spaces, they're still
Mhm.
presented to me, but they're not presented to me in a way where I think I have to absolutely involve this in my life, take it on, move them in, make sure it's not in that way.
It's a place of, now I recognize I attracted these type of people in that I needed to get away from. Now I'm
Right.
attracting these type of people. These type of people are still coming, but now I'm recognizing it's not because I am like that anymore. It's because I've moved from it, and now I can give them something to
Right.
help them
I'm
move
in a
from
place where I see myself, so I know exactly what it is for me to do when I'm presented with it.
it.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because I
Yeah.
know it's not for me to absorb and take on, it's
Yes.
for me to speak and let go.
Yeah.
You did your part. And if
Yeah.
you didn't fulfill it, you'll know, because it
Yeah.
will resurface. But
Yeah.
it's so different how, when you surround yourself with a certain energy, that is what you get. What you put out is really what you receive. It's not some cheesy cliche something. So if you're
It's a
looking,
law.
yeah, if you're looking around yourself and you see a lot of things that you're not happy with, think about how you feel about yourself,
Yes.
because that
Yes.
could be why you're surrounded by the type of things you're surrounded by.
Yeah. And that's why I'm always like trying to make sure I have my environment a certain way. And also I try to be very conscious about what I sow, because I really do believe in like seed time and harvest. Like what you sow, what you plant is what you get back.
Absolutely.
So if I'm constantly planting, I'm if I'm constantly planting that, I'm gonna help people, I'm gonna help people, I'm gonna help people. I'm gonna get back me more people for me to help,
To
but
help.
I need to have a balance of what I'm planting, right? I'm gonna plant seeds that I'm gonna help people, but the first seeds I'm gonna plant is that God, you're gonna send me people who are gonna help me, who's
Absolutely.
gonna help grow me, so I
Right.
can have this balance instead of me like giving, 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 giving.
Right.
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
So bring us current, Allie.
Truck accident happened. Like I said, I was brought to a place where, okay, you have to leave. You can't maneuver this house. You can't go to your job. You can't do nothing. You have to go back and get help from people who love you. So there was a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, was like, girl, come here. Just come.
Mm,
And she had kids. She had 3 kids. I'm like, girl, I don't want to be in your space. But I was
yeah,
like,
now you don't know
here.
how to receive again.
Exactly, I did. And
Mhm.
the reason why is like I only had 2 options. Me and my mom was not in the best place. So I'm like, I don't want to move in with her. But it was like, well, these are your options, girl, and they're not terrible options. It's just you
Right.
gotta put your pride to the side.
Yeah.
And I did. I did. I stayed with my mom sometimes. The times I could not, and I was like, "Oh, I can't take it. There's too much going on here."
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
stay with her and the kids, and the times I couldn't take that, I'm like, "Woo, this is a lot." I had that balance of okay, well, I can come here, I can come there, and I spent a lot of time in nature. Also,
Mhm.
just kind of rehabilitating myself. Like, let me just go take a walk. The good thing about being in the South is the weather is always pretty good, and there are parks everywhere. So I was like, let me get outside and just walk as much as I can while I'm in physical therapy, while I'm getting these surgeries. I'm walking, and
Mm.
I don't have to worry about where I'm gonna lay my head at night because I at least know that that's off of my shoulder.
Yeah.
So after and I needed that. So I'm gonna say this: how I got into a place where I was able to pull myself back on my feet was, like I said, taking the help that I needed, but also taking the time to write, to meditate, and to pray and ask myself, well, what do I want for myself next? Now that
You
I'm
were
here.
forced. You were forced into a position of being still and also tapping into you.
Exactly. So
You alone.
I had the opportunity to say, well, what do I want to do next? Because I'm not thinking about bills. I don't have a job
Mhm.
that I'm tied to. I don't have a car that I'm tied to. What exactly
Opportunity.
do I want to do with Alize next? Well,
Mm.
let's write down what you want. What do you want? Where do you want?
Mm.
What type of job do you want? What type of business do you want? Like, just write down what I wanted my life to look like as I was healing. And healing physically, when I say healing, and spiritually, from what I had
Look at
just.
that.
Yeah. So I had started because it
And
wasn't
your
that.
heart,
Yeah.
emotionally
Oh,
too, because
and my heart.
people just left you hanging.
Yeah. That was the first part that I honestly had to heal because I was so in a dump. I felt like, dang, I was 25. I'm like, I'm 25. I've been in these relationships and just giving in these long-term relationships that were all bad, honestly,
Yeah.
years, to the point where I hadn't even taken time to myself to to really look at what I was accepting from people,
Yeah.
what I was
Ooh.
comfortable with. So,
People giving you shit, you taking the shit.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I had to look at self and really, one, tell myself that I'm not just used goods, because I would always say that about myself. Like, I'm all
Mm.
used up. I'm only 25 and I'm used up. I'm hard
Mm.
now. I had lost a lot of, like we said, we're Pisces, and I'm always in the clouds and emotional. I had my wedding planned since I was like 6 years old, and all these different things, and I had
Yeah.
lost all of that. What I did was that I took time to jot down what I wanted my life to look like. It wasn't like one day I just wrote down on the paper my entire life vision board. I knew it. I didn't have it all figured out, but I made sure that I dedicated time daily to figure out what self craved, needed, wanted, and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's like in a blink of an eye, the opportunity for all of those things to take place just showed up. It's crazy. Someone who I had met through that very terrible relationship that brought me to the place I was currently in, was like, hey girl, I can't think of anybody who can take over this lease. It's a nice, 1 bedroom. It's only $1,200. I'm like, what? And it's in Atlanta. I'm like, in Atlanta? Because you can't find that in Atlanta unless you got
No.
over your head roaches somewhere. Like, you can't find that.
Yes.
So in Atlanta, I'm like, okay. Now, mind you, I had gone on, because let me take a beat back. Before I had spoken to her about the house, I had gone on over 20-something interviews. I'm not kidding you. Even though they liked me, they weren't hiring me. Or if they wanted to hire me, they were like, oh yeah, well, we'll pay you $10 an hour, $13 an hour. And I'm like, ooh, now that I'm realizing my self-worth, I refuse to accept that. And they're like, well, opportunity for pay, promotions, this, bonuses. I'm like, nah. I was turning stuff down. Like, girl, you don't even got nowhere to live, but you turning stuff down.
That sounds like struggle for you a little bit.
Exactly. Because I saw myself and I knew that, listen, I know what I'm capable of. You're not going to pay me anything anymore because I began to see myself, I'm not going to just take something because I'm given something. And then I got the call about, hey, there's this apartment. My friend needs somebody to lease it. Can you lease it? I'm like, well, let me go visit. Beautiful apartment. I'm like, oh. But I'm like, I don't have a job right now. I don't know how I'm going to afford it. But just hold on. Tell her, she had I think 3 months before she was buying a house. And then that's when she needed someone to take over. But she had signed a 14-month lease. And she had just signed it. And then 3 months, she was going to be moving into her house. So I would have been able to be there for 11 months, which is basically a whole, So I was like, she has 3 months. That gives me 3 months. Coy, when I tell you, 2 weeks after I seen the apartment, I got a call from some random company that I didn't even apply for. And they were like, hey, we saw your resume on Indeed or LinkedIn. Can you come in and we want to interview you? I'm like, cool. Okay. I didn't know what the job was. I didn't know anything about the company. I was researching it, couldn't find out anything. I'm like, I don't even know what this is, but of course I'm going to go. So I'm driving to ATL. And the interview is literally, I'm stuck in traffic. The interview is literally in the next 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, I'm pulling at the gas station and I'm going to do the interview in the gas station. And I did you in the gas station. It was a dude from New York. He was like, I love you. I want to hire you on. This is what, he asked me what I wanted to be paid. I told him. He was like, okay, let me talk to HR. We should be able to get you that. And literally 3 days, they gave me the job. They offered me what I was asking. And when I looked up the address, the distance from the address to the apartment, because I didn't have a car at this time. So I had to look it up, They were 10 minutes apart, Coy.
Wow. That's called alignment. Because you embraced your journey. You embraced everything. You said you allowed yourself to heal. You kind of went through it. You faced it. That's why I tell people you have to face your fears. You're not going to get past anything. And the biggest fear is fear of ourselves.
Yes.
And you got to face yourself.
Absolutely. Literally, like you said, I aligned myself and everything else fell into place. Every single thing fell into place to where I was to be exactly where I wanted.
I just want you to talk to somebody right now. I want you to look in the camera. I want you to go in and I'm going to take myself off.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So if I was talking to myself or anyone else out there, I will say to trust yourself and the messages that are in your head. And, whether you're spiritual or not, or religious or not, I am, that voice in the back of your head is coming from somewhere. It's not coming from thin air. You're not crazy. That voice that tells you this ain't right. Or that voice that tells you, this could be better, or maybe I'm doing too much, or am I getting this same thing back that I'm putting in? Listen to that. Don't ignore it, because if you ignore it for too long, you'll look at the same surroundings for years. You'll put yourself in this endless cycle of, what am I doing? Where am I going? You feel like you're on a treadmill. And that's what I compared it to a lot. feeling like I was on a treadmill. Like I'm moving, but you're getting tired because you're not moving forward. You're just moving. But when you hear that voice in the back of your head, or you see these these opportunities that are like, this would change my life, or this is something different than I've never done, or that's a little scary. Are you sure that's what you want us to do? Are you sure you want us to just up and quit our job? Are you sure you want us to just up and leave this relationship, this is all I've ever known, or this my mom or my dad or whatever it is, moving from my hometown? When you hear that voice in the back of your head, follow it. Follow it. All it is preventing you from following it is you. You can do it. So that's what I will say. That's how you're gonna start trusting yourself, and that's how you're gonna start trusting God or spirit or whatever you refer to and believe in, because that voice doesn't come from anywhere. You can make whatever you want happen. You can literally change your life by listening to that voice in your head. You cannot be scared. Just go ahead and jump and do it. Don't let fear stop you, and don't let comfortability in chaos, because I was comfortable in chaos. Don't let comfortability in chaos, because that's all you've ever known, prevent you from jumping out on faith. Faith in yourself, faith in God. Just jump on it. Just do it.
Very, very well said. And I wish I had somebody when I was younger, before I even got with my mom in foster care, to be able to say that to me, because um, sometimes we don't know that we have control over our own circumstances. We don't start the once upon a time, right? Once upon a
Right.
time, I always say that, like, there was a little girl named Allie, there was a little girl named Sequoia. They were born into this. We didn't pick and choose those people. We love those people though, but we
Yeah.
were born into those families for a reason. But
Mm-hmm.
but there comes a point in your life where you can take control, and we really should have been taught that, like you said earlier, when we were younger,
Mm-hmm.
where you can take control and create. But our parents only did what they knew,
Right.
and they did the best that they could with what they had, even if
Right.
we feel like it was horrible.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you can create, and that's what new life is. That's what new life, y'all see my little logo, that's
Yes.
what new life is, creating the life you've always envisioned. And that's why I have this show. That's why I handpicked my guests. That's why I wanted Alize on here. So I wanted you here, because I see oftentimes we look at the stars, and I mean entertainers, we look at
Mm-hmm.
famous people, and we don't know how they got where they all got,
Right.
right?
Right.
We don't know what they have to sacrifice. We don't know what they're currently sacrificing. We don't know their intentions, but we have everyday people around us who categorize success in a different bucket.
Yes.
And we don't look at success as having a mansion. I
Right.
mean, it would be nice,
Right.
but but sometimes success is just being able to get out of the crap we were in all of our lives. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, you can create it, and it takes you looking at you, it takes you getting fed up with your own stuff, it takes you holding yourself accountable, it takes you finally narrowing down what it is that you like, what you want to do, how
Yes.
you do it, not thinking it's crazy because you never seen nobody else do it before. That doesn't mean it was for them, it was for you.
Exactly.
So that was very well said. I want you to tell us what you do. What can we look forward to? What services, what products, what's next for you? Is there something exciting coming up? Like, give us the tea.
Yes. Yes, yes. So with all that I spoke about, I have created my own business. It's called Rooted Freedom, and it is a all natural and herbal business. It began with healing and helping people through anxiety and depression and insomnia. That's how it started. And now it's branched off to more than that. It's become helping people through holistic healing. And the reason why I named it Rooted Freedom is because I feel like there is freedom in the things that we were taught from our roots. Those are our roots. The things that my grandmother taught me, the things that your grandmother may have said to you in the kitchen or told you, girl, just put some rosemary on it or put some whatever, those things we can literally become free by being grounded and rooted in that, because there are a lot of products, there is a lot of medicine, there's a lot of um, advertisement, TV, Instagram, whatever, that's telling you this is the only way and this is the way that you're supposed to, take care of yourself, or this is the medicine you're supposed to take because your doctor said so. This is, you're supposed to perm your hair, like we spoke about. You're supposed to perm your hair because how else will it be manageable? No, there is freedom in looking at your roots and saying, well, my ancestors, they didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Or again, we're born with what we need to heal ourselves. It's here on this earth. And that is what my business is. So it's Rooted Freedom. My first products are smoke blends and teas, letting people know that they do not need drugs or, alcohol or sleep meds or antidepressants all the time, and things like that, to heal themselves and feel better. Um, so those were where my first products derived from, and now I am expanding that, and I'm taking my business and starting events and retreats. So I that will start in March this year. I'm going to have my first Rooted Freedom event, and I want people to come out. I'll definitely post more details on my website, which I know Koi will link, and my Instagram page for Rooted Freedom. But the purpose of it is to have conversations like this that me and Koi are having today, and also give people guidance. So when they come to a Rooted Freedom event, there will be herbs there that you can sample and take home and say, okay, well, I've been dealing with high blood pressure, I've been dealing with hair loss, I've been dealing with whatever, and they can speak to me, and I can create a custom product, a custom blend for them that day, a custom hair oil or hair butter, whatever it is that you've been dealing with. My Rooted Freedom events will be a space where we can all speak together, and then have a one-on-one where this is what I need help with, and this is the service that I can provide to you to try it out, try something different. I've helped people get off of PCOS meds. I struggle with PCOS. I've had people get off their high blood pressure medication, antidepressants. I've had people stop smoking weed or, drinking as much through my products, stop smoking cigarettes. I've seen high success rates and great success stories through herbal and holistic medication and healing, and that's what my business is about. So that's where I am today. 3 years this year makes 3 years that I have officially been in business, but I've been doing this for the last 6 years, and just helping people through holistic healing. So that's where I am today. Rooted Freedom.
Yes, and just like Ali said, I will have in the links below. If you're watching on YouTube, in the description box, there will be links, and you will see her information and how you can contact her, how you can visit her on social media, website, email, whatever she has available will be in the links below. I always wanted to present awards for New Life, and so I've handpicked all of my guests, and I picked you for a reason because of the things that I see you do in the communities or for people in general, your journeys, you were willing to share on my last show. I see that every time anybody wants to talk to you or get advice, is about healthy healing, holistic, how we can deal with certain things in our lives, and just you being here on this show and sharing your story, sharing your journey, teaching people, helping people, giving advice on how they can just heal internally, externally, mentally, spiritually, in all kinds of ways, and just face themselves. I honor you for honoring us with my New Life Star Award. And so I had them engraved. I've ordered them for each of my guests. It's called the New Life Star Award. It says presented to overcomers,
Mm.
um, agents agents of change who uplift and inspire others. So
Wow.
let me show you what it looks like. It says, I don't know if you can see it. Thank you for being you. Thank you for embracing everything that you've gone through and making it your business to look within and to help other people look within.
And thank you for everything that you're doing. Like, everything that you're doing is healing as well. And I want you to know that and receive that, that these conversations are healing. I know that people viewing it need to hear it, and need to hear it from maybe somebody outside of them. And what you're doing is powerful and it's healing. And I love that. I love that for you. I love this.
Thank you so much. That really means a lot to me. I'm been in the receiving mode lately.
Good. Good.
So I want to thank you for being on the show. I know that our audience is very grateful as well. And hopefully I'll see you on the next season episode. Maybe we'll have you as a sponsor.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to come to your events.
Yes, I'm definitely going to start putting the information out there. I'm still kind of getting the details worked out for my first event, but of course, I'll let you know and have you tuned in, because I would love to have you there and love to have you speaking, because I do want conversation.
I like to talk.
Me too. Me too. So we need, people like you there. We need people like you there. It will be amazing to have you there. So we'll talk after this, and definitely get together and link up and see what we can do together too.
Great. Thank you so much.
Ew, this was amazing. All right, Koi.